The United States says it's imposing sanctions on Rwanda's defense forces.
Is Africa at war? When global headlines mention the continent, they often focus on conflicts Sudan, Congo, Somalia, the Sahel. So what is really happening? Why are some African countries unstable? And how did these conflicts begin? Today we break down the history, the politics, the resources, and the deeper structural issues driving conflict in parts of Africa. And most importantly, we separate myth from reality. Let's begin with Sudan, Africa's third largest country. In April 2023, fighting erupted in the capital Khartoum, but this conflict didn't start overnight. Sudan's history spans ancient Nubian civilizations, including the Kingdom of Kush, which built pyramids at Meru. In modern times, Sudan was jointly administered by Britain and Egypt until its independence in 1956. Post-independence periods saw COS, civil wars, and secession movements that culminated in the 2011 independence of South Sudan. Sudan had already gone through decades of military rule under Omar al-Bashir, who was overthrown in 2019 after mass protests. The country was supposed to transition to civilian democracy. Instead, two powerful military factions, the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, turned on each other. The Rapid Support Forces, originally formed from Darfur's Janjaweed militias, had grown powerful and wealthy, particularly through gold mining. The dispute? Who controls the army? Who controls the economy? And who controls Sudan's future? What began as political tension quickly became full-scale urban warfare. Today, millions are displaced, and Sudan faces one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Next is Democratic Republic of the Congo. Once the personal colony of King Leopold II of Belgium, the territory became independent as the Republic of the Congo Leopoldville in 1960. It was renamed Zaire under Mobutu Sese Seko. The roots of Congo's conflict stretch back to 1994, after the Rwandan genocide. Armed militias fled into eastern Congo, triggering a regional war involving multiple neighboring countries. Although the official war ended in 2003, violence never fully stopped. Eastern Congo is rich in cobalt, coltan, gold, and other minerals essential for smartphones, electric vehicles, and global technology. That wealth has become a curse. Armed groups compete for control of mining areas. Regional tensions persist. The Congolese government struggles to extend authority into remote provinces. One group, known as M23, has re-emerged in recent years, escalating tensions again. So in Congo, conflict is not just political, it's economic. Control the minerals, control the money. Next is Somalia. Modern Somalia was formed in 1960 through the union of British and Italian Somaliland. Following a period of dictatorship under Siad Barre, 1969 to 1991. Somalia's central government collapsed in 1991 after the overthrow of President Siad Barre. Without a strong national government, clan-based factions took control of different territories. Years later, an Islamist movement rose, and from it emerged the extremist group Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab continues to carry out bombings and assassinations while controlling parts of rural Somalia. Although Somalia has rebuilt a federal government and received support from African Union peacekeepers, this country remains fragile. Add recurring droughts, poverty, and climate stress, and instability becomes harder to solve. Somalia's case shows how state collapse can create decades of ripple effects. Now we move to Mali. The modern state emerged from French Sudan after independence in 1960. Periods of authoritarian rule were followed by multi-party democracy in 1992. But military coups in 2012, 2020, and 2021 disrupted governance. Since 2021, Colonel Assimi Goïta has led a transitional government. A new constitution approved in 2023 expanded presidential powers, with elections planned to restore civilian rule. A similar story is unfolding next door in Niger. Since the military coup of July 2023, Niger has been governed by the National Council for the Safeguarding of the Country under Gen Chiani, with Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain serving as Prime Minister. The transitional administration replaced the elected government of Mohamed Bazoum. A refoundation charter adopted in 2025 defines transitional institutions and aims to guide Niger toward restored civilian rule. Just south of Niger, Burkina Faso has followed a similar trajectory of political upheaval. Formerly called the Republic of Upper Volta, it was renamed in 1984 by President Thomas Sankara to mean Land of Honest People. Since independence, Burkina Faso has experienced multiple coups, including 2 in 2022. The most recent brought Captain Ibrahim Traoré to power, marking a realignment of foreign relations away from France and toward Russia and regional partners. In 2025, the nation formally withdrew from ECOWAS and joined Mali and Niger in the Confederation of Sahel States. Today, the governments in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger appear more consolidated and coordinated in their approach to security. Joint regional cooperation has strengthened political alignment among the 3 states. However, challenges remain. Armed extremist groups continue to operate in remote and border regions, where weak infrastructure, difficult terrain, and limited state presence make it harder for governments to fully restore control. Finally, Ethiopia. Ethiopia's statehood traces back over 2,000 years to the ancient kingdom of Aksum, one of the first empires to adopt Christianity, 4th century CE. It resisted colonial conquest, defeating Italy at the Battle of Adwa in 1896, a defining moment for African independence. Emperor Haile Selassie modernized the state until his overthrow in 1974, after which the Marxist Derg regime ruled until 1991, when a federal republic emerged. In 2020, war broke out between the federal government and the Tigray regional leadership. Tensions had been building after Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power and restructured Ethiopia's political coalition. Heated elections escalated into armed conflict. The war involved regional forces and neighboring Eritrea, leading to widespread humanitarian suffering. Peace deal was signed in 2022, but tensions remain in other regions like Amhara and Oromia. Ethiopia's conflict is rooted in its ethnic federal system, where regions are organized by ethnic identity. Balancing national unity with regional autonomy remains a complex challenge. Patterns across these conflicts include military involvement in politics, weak democratic institutions, competition over natural resources, ethnic divisions linked to colonial borders, climate pressures on land, and spillover from neighboring conflicts. However, most African countries are not at war. Many regions, especially in southern Africa, including Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, and Tanzania, remain relatively stable. Conflict in Africa is largely driven by political and economic factors rather than culture. And understanding these causes helps move beyond stereotypes toward real solutions.